Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Thursday night edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Happy Thanksgiving, America. I hope you're putting your tinfoil on, your barbed wire around your boots right now because it is almost Black Friday time. And what makes a better Thanksgiving than heading down to Walmart or Best Buy and beating the living hell out of each other? We can do this, America. Let's bring back tradition of Thanksgiving and Black Friday. We can do this. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. I'm stoked for you. Do it. Just do it. Hey, we got Jason Guillemette here tonight from UAP Studies Podcast. We're going to get deep into the UFOs. Do you still believe in UFO disclosure? We're going to have some fun with that tonight as we kick off tonight's show. And in tonight's show, we have Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position. Race fan with a silver. Tim Mothman in his goatee sharing the bronze medal tonight. I think we're on YouTube. Yeah, I think we are. Yeah, we're on YouTube. Let's scroll on down. Say hello to Robert Lamoth and Jessica Davenport. Jessica Davenport will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. And if you're looking at my t-shirt, this is from T-Bone. T-Bone gifted this to me. I love this. Kind of like a Hunter S. Thompson type shirt. Freaking awesome. Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, how are you? Dr. Bob and Luscious Jewels, nice to see you. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you literally cannot go into a show with Jason Guillemette and not be lubed up. So Mel is currently lubing up me. He's lubing up Jason as we speak. Jason's a little bit more lubed than usual. All right, take that for what it's worth. Desert Rat, how you doing? Operation Shutdown, Lisa Smith, Alpine Fur, nice to have you all here. S. Vermette, good to have you back. S. Vermette will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Erica Stover, Eternity Eternal, East Coast Turnaround on X, nice to see you there. Bad Cop, good to have you here. Hi, J. Truth Seeker, Kurt W. And Kitty Caddywhack kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much, Kitty. We love you for it. Al Garay over on Twitch ate 22 pounds of leftover turkey and 14 cans of cranberry sauce to warm up for Jason tonight. Now, Jason and I are both frothing at the mouth because we don't get turkey dinner here for American Thanksgiving up in Canada. But thank you, Al Garay. You could have at least made us a plate. Walter Kochabinski, how are you? And let's see here. I'm Hardcore over on X. Mickey G, Alien Critter. Nice to have you all here. Super Crazy, how you doing? Nice to have you here. And let's see here. Who are we going next? Mama Catherine, there she is. Not only do you get a tip, a hat tip, Mama Catherine, you get one of those, but you get this. Mwah! I love you. Love you so much. I hope you had an incredible family dinner tonight. Yeah. Remember to send me your address. You know what I'm talking about. All right. K17, how are you? And Aussie Ange, nice to see you. Shadow Feather, good to have you here. And Integrationing, thanks for coming on in. And let's get the radio side going. Hi, Mr. Cowley. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're going to ask, is disclosure still possible in the UFO world? From the UAP Studies Podcast, Jason Guillemette is here tonight as we are in roll call on our YouTube side, warming up for tonight's show. And Dreamosaurus, welcome to SOR Chat. Nice to see you. And we're caught up. We are caught up. So I'm just going to get comfy here because I'm always rotating in my seat here. And remember, the Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. You can join our YouTube membership. You can also shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. I would appreciate it. You would appreciate it. And Lord knows your closet would appreciate it. Signs of Life, how are you? Horns up. Let's do it.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show for you tonight because we're getting into the UFO world. Are we still trusting the disclosure process? From UAP Studies Podcast, Jason Guillemette will join us momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us for another creepy story. Follow that up, Josh Rutledge from the UFO Report. We call him the wizard around here. He's going to be here as well. So let's get right to it tonight. Okay, you're going to like this one. Jason Guillemette is the creator and host of the UAP Studies Podcast, where he dives deep into the rapidly evolving world of UFOs, UAP, and unexplained aerial phenomena. Known for his thoughtful interviewing style and ability to bring the top researchers, experiencers, military witnesses, and scientific experts together, Jason has built a reputation as a grounded, inquisitive voice in a field filled with speculation. Conversation makes the show a go-to hub for anyone wanting to learn about this subject. On YouTube, Jason's episodes consistently pull in viewers who crave credible, well-researched discussion that cut through the sensationalism and get straight to the truth. His website, UAPstudiespodcast.com. Let's bring him on in. Jason Guillemette, it's good to see you, my friend. Nice to have you here again. How are you doing, brother? It's always a pleasure.
I'm starting to think we're starting to dress alike quite a bit. You know what I mean? But you look fedorable. I must say, you're sporting that fedora beautifully. Yeah.
Thank you. Well,
but
the only thing that I cannot top, at least make myself equal to you is in the mustache category. You grow a great mustache, my friend.
It's like the only really great feature about my facial hair, because I think once I grow it out, it's too bushy, or it makes me look like my face is way bigger than it should be. So really I have to it's the mustache. That's the only thing I could really supports my face. Everything else makes my face look fat, according to my wife. So that comes straight from the source. You know what I mean?
That's why I have to, when I get my beard trimmed, I have to get it cut at an angle.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I literally look like the Coca-Cola Santa Claus.
Isn't it weird that your spouse could tell you that actually when you do that, you look fat? You can never say that back to her, though. Regardless, hey, honey, when you drink, actually, you can never say that. But women can get away with it. And I think the facial hair can make you look bigger. I think maybe that was the point of it back in the days, to make you look a lot more intimidating than you are. But you're rocking a beautiful beard, brother. I support it.
Thank you. You know what makes me look fat? Eating. Plain and simple, man. I'm a seafood kind of guy.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I barely eat junk food. Barely.
Yeah.
But the
thing is, in a certain age, I mean, I'm well into my 40s now, but at a certain age, your metabolism slows down. So the same amount of pizza that I could eat before and not have a problem with later on is no longer an option. It's like, no, I'm going to be wearing this in about, 2 weeks time. So it's weird. Like you got to get used to that. Right. But aging ufologists, I think there's nothing sadder than that. Yeah. Name of my next book, Aging Ufologist. Yeah.
Well, ufology is aging, and maybe not in a pretty way right now, my friend. And we're going to get heavy into that over the next couple of hours with you. But I want it for our people who've never maybe heard you speak before on this topic. Let's introduce you to them. You're a podcast host. You're a researcher. You're formerly of MUFON. You have been working on some documentaries recently regarding this lovely subject. And you've seen the good, you've seen the bad and the ugly regarding the entire aspect of UFOs or UAP or whatever you want to call it. How did this happen for you? What's the drive that you have?
Well, I think it was like everybody else. Initially, when I joined MUFON, it was right after the 2017 article had dropped. And I think that got so many people interested in, like, maybe I should join MUFON. Maybe I should do something, right? Like it gave a swift kick in the butt to everybody who ever saw that article. And so I decided to join MUFON because when I looked into who was investigating UFOs in our part of the world, British Columbia, there was nobody. I think there was Barb. And it was like one investigator on a remote island somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. And I'm like, well, that's not going to do. So since nobody was doing it, I thought, why not me? Why not me? And I think most people should have that thought and mentality of why not? If nobody's doing what I would like to see done, why am I not the one doing it then? Right? Be the change you want to see in the world. Sort of mentality. I don't know if I was on a manic phase that week, but I joined MUFON. I said, I'm going to investigate our backyard. And Dave, you know how busy our backyard is. And I need to be trained. I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody knows what they're doing. And it's a lot different being a commentator on a couch watching documentaries or YouTube channels thinking that you're an expert and that you know what you're doing in ufology, but you really don't until you get active and start investigating cases for yourself, start putting yourself out there. Well, unfortunately, now you have to do the media aspect of it too, but it's a complete different ball game. And I realize how much of a monumental task that is to just start from nothing to be like, hey, I want to be the guy that everybody contacts in case something mutilates my cow or, something lands in my backyard. And that's why I joined MUFON Canada. And at the time, they had a bit of an influx of applicants, but not that many. And I'm hoping now they got a lot more. But I always encourage people, Dave, like if you want to start somewhere in investigations and get the training done, MUFON Canada or MUFON in the States, Actually, MUFON's global too. So wherever you live, it doesn't matter if you're in a speck of dust town in the middle of, the middle of Timbuktu. Like, it doesn't matter. Get active, get started, be that person people could come and talk to in case something does happen. And if we all do that, I just, connect the dots. If we all played our part, we'd have a lot more information than we do now, because we can all contribute to this equally. And we're never going to get that sort of compliance from the government. We're never going to get a full disclosure website and sort of like step-by-step series of understanding aliens. Like, that's never going to happen. And we have to start educating ourselves as the public, as civilians. We have to take that helm now. It's more than evident that it's never going to come out from the people that may know a lot more about this than we do, but we'll learn fast. We're fast learners. And I've seen that with MUFON. I've seen that with the growth of investigators worldwide. And look at what we have now. We have a really great, solid community, a lot of fighting, but at least we got a lot more information now than we did prior to 2017.
We do have a lot of information, a lot more people who have come out, a lot more publicity, a lot more government talk about this. But what we don't have, Jason, as we glide ourselves into this topic, is a lot of truth to what's going on. And there's your truth, there's my truth, there's the government's truth, there's everything. What's your truth? What's your truth about this subject? What would do it for you?
Listen, my mentality towards this is know that I know nothing. And I keep thinking of Yoda. You must unlearn what you have learned. Literally. Everything that we think of is in a linear way or taught to us in a certain way that we can't think outside of that. And I think that's what we need to do with this phenomenon. If you approach it from the fact that, look, I don't know anything about this. I can't state absolutes. I have in the past because I'm human and I make errors, but I will correct it. If I'm correct, if I stand corrected, I'll say, look, guys, I was wrong about this. I think we have a problem in people stepping forward, trying to bring this up to the public, that their credibility is shot. Everything they've ever produced or come up with gets discredited right away. You could have a career flawless for like 40 years and you slip one bad picture or video and that's it, your whole reputation. It's the only field that I could think of that is merciless. Like, if you're a scientist, Dave, and you mess up on your calculation, like, oh, well, I messed up, I'll start again. It's not like you would be shunned by the community, like, oh, every calculation that he's done so far has been wrong because he was wrong that one time. It's stupid how unforgiving ufology, if we could call it that, is the study of this phenomenon, because again, it comes down to egos and people saying, well, I know more than this guy, or I'm more into the know than this guy, but nobody could ever tell you why or who. And that's what's frustrating. It's like we're chasing wisps of something. It's like you could see it, but it's just a wisp of it. And that's what keeps us engaged into this phenomenon. And I think it gets very tiring, especially when, people are trying to keep it in the current news all the time. And you're seeing that more with documentaries coming out. You're seeing more attention being brought to it on, radio, the news, even CNN's covering it. Now that's great. But it's really nothing new to the subject. And the reason is because what we really want to know, we're never going to know. And I mean, unless something dramatic happens where civilian scientists get access to this information or get access to this technology, or the biologics, as they call them. Look, they're non-human entities, right? They get access to this, we could make huge progress. But right now, we're still in the dark, Dave. I'm going to be honest with you. After like 5-6 years of like searching everybody's brain and investigating everybody's point of view on this, I just realized that it's so huge. It's like a goldfish trying to figure out, Einstein's relativity. It's not going to happen. And I think we get bits of information that makes our world bigger, our understanding bigger. But I think it's too convoluted right now. There's just too much there's too much out there throwing us off. And I think it's probably part of a psyop to keep us asking the same questions or seeing like we got momentum, and all of a sudden, the skateboard gets kicked from under us and we're back to square one, which I think you've done this long enough to know that you've done this cycle how many times now? Like it's crazy.
I think, though, the amount of time it's taken for me, though, is I think it's made me more fickle. I used to be a very big believer in people and in the subject as an experiencer. I was, very much passionate about how is this going to affect the experiential crowd. And I think once the To the Stars Academy came out, I immediately saw red flags. And I remember having conversations with people, and I'm paraphrasing here. When Tom DeLonge's group came out, there was a couple red flags right off the bat in that press conference. The non-pressless press conference, as it's known as. We dubbed it, and people have stole that. When you have a pressless press conference, it means you're hiding something. And that was
Or
a big
controlling
red
something.
that was a
Right.
big red flag for me right off the bat. And then I remember that evening going onto their website, because the whole pressless press conference, they talked about UFOs, UAP, and Lou Elizondo gets trotted out. Other people get trotted out. Okay. And here we are on their website after the press conference. And I remember going to the To the Stars Academy. I looked through every page, especially the front, but then I went through every page because the website was missing something. You remember what that was?
You're gonna have to remind me.
There was not one mention of UFO or UAP in the entire website. And I went, what
Yeah,
is
because we were
this?
talking about future technologies or
That-
something. It was very vague.
And movies and documentaries and television shows, t-shirts, everything but UFOs. So you trotted out all these people in 2017, and you said, and Tom DeLonge from Blink-182, and God bless him, he's a great musician. I love his band. Okay. And I remember looking at the website thinking, this isn't for us. This has nothing to do with UFO disclosure. Nothing.
Yeah,
And-
UFOtainment.
And it made me fickle. Putting in 15 requests. I remember talking to Lou Elizondo after he left the To the Stars Academy. And I remember asking him, I said, did you know that I put in 15 requests to interview you at the TTSA and I never got one response? And he goes, are you kidding me? I said, no, this is true. He goes, Dave, we're going to change that right now. Let's book a date. He goes, I'm sorry. Like, I like Lou Elizondo. And a few minutes ago, you mentioned, that about reputation. You put up one bad picture and everybody is literally throwing daggers at you.
You're done.
I think Lou was given some bad intel there.
100%.
I'm not defending him, but the unidentified lighting phenomena and then the unidentified crop circle phenomena, okay, or the irrigation phenomena, the ULP and the UIP, okay.
Can't keep up with the acronyms, yeah.
Yeah. I really think that, somebody did that to sabotage him. That's my personal belief on that. People will call me out on that, say that isn't the case. But Lou Elizondo, from where he came from, and I talked to somebody on the inside who at first was not an Elizondo fan, thought he was a prima donna, thought he was everything. Then he talked to one of his military guys who served with Elizondo. And he goes, oh no, man, Lou's the real deal. Lou is the real deal. Now, he may have been caught up in a lot of things coming into the UFO world, but when he was serving overseas And at Guantanamo Bay, that was the real deal.
Yeah. You know, and I think we were in lineup in Washington. I guess I went down there with Darcy, and some gentleman interviewed me, but this guy was all about like trying to make you look stupid, asking you questions to put you on the spot because his documentary was about how stupid the people in the lineup in Washington were. And he was trying to trick me with the Lou Elizondo question, saying, well, Lou Elizondo put out a false. This was prior to the crop circle picture or the hovering UFO allegedly over. This was the, I think it was a lighting lamp in the kitchen reflecting off a window. And it was a bad picture. It wasn't good for Lou Elizondo's credibility. And he said, well, what about that? He put out that picture and said it was credible. I'm like, look, everybody's going to make mistakes. This whole thing of not being forgiving in this field, especially when somebody's trying really hard to either investigate or whatever. Like, I've never understood why people will go after Linda Moulton Howe's work or like Whitley Strieber's work. Like, it's easy for us to attack these people that have been boots on the ground and actually done the investigation work because we read their book. So now we have opinions on what they've read and what their critics have read. But it's a lot different when you're on the opposite side, when you're not, you know, watching documentaries or reading a book, but you're actually on the ground and you're actually meeting these people. It's way different. And this is what people have got to understand. There's this info. Well, not you. I said UFO-tainment, but I'm legit about this. It's. You look at what's happening now with every 2 days. There's a new big name in ufology, or that just popped out. Like it seems like out of nowhere, with tons of money to get everybody on their show and fly them in first class and pay them for their time and wine and dine them. Like I mentioned, you and I don't have that budget. That is the easiest way for a psyop to operate, is that you feed these people to people that are going to mix in the lies with the truth. And everybody's going to funnel there because they're saying, look, the algorithm wants you to funnel there. Again, it's different when you're on the inside, because when you're on the inside, you kind of know who's who, you know, rumors about so-and-so, like there's an actual community. But if you're just sitting at home, you take everything for face value. This is the problem that I have. If you're a big Joe Rogan fan, don't just take Joe Rogan's opinion as your own, because a lot of people do that without even thinking about it. Well, I heard Joe Rogan say this, so this is my opinion. No, look at it for yourself, investigate it. This is what makes you stand out as somebody who's done their research and not regurgitating what other people have already done, which I think that's like, there's a good example. Have you ever watched like YouTube videos where it's a reaction video to a reaction video? Like, tell me that's not ripping off people's content, right?
Yeah.
Reacting to somebody else reacting to a video. Like, how stupid are we that you'll actually sit there and watch it? Like, oh, I can't wait to see his reaction to her reaction watching this video reaction. Like, it's a tunnel of stupidity. And I think we're all stuck in there. And ufology is exactly that. There are moments where that's exactly what we're doing. We get numb with all the information we have, and we start thinking that, well, so-and-so made the comment on Ross Coulthart, so it must be true. It's vetted. No, it's not. You watched a video. It's not, nothing has been proven. And I think that's the biggest mistake now, is that we take everything for face value and, oh, it must be true. So-and-so said it must be true. Take a moment, relax, have some tea, try the dip. Take a moment to analyze what's been given to you before we make rush decisions. These buggers aren't going anywhere. They're in no rush. And there's a competition in trying to keep people entertained. And I think it's only getting worse and worse. And now it literally is a pay-to-play game, which, again, if you're doing a psyop or trying to control the information, Dave, you got no better way to do it than that way.
Jason Guillemette from UAP Studies Podcast. When we return on Spaced Out Radio, we're going to ask Jason about disclosure. We're going to ask him to talk about the narrative. Is there control on who speaks to who speaks about what? We're going to get into maybe the darker side of what disclosure looks like. All right, we're clear. Robert, how you doing, buddy? That was a good start, man. Mel Rimas, welcome to SOR chat. All right.
Got my other coffee right over there.
Well, let's see where else here.
Yeah, the hat got really hot really fast.
Yep. Jeremy Jones, nice to see you. And yes, I did see you post about your Dallas Stars beating the hell out of my Oilers. I just didn't want to say anything. I was grinding my teeth a little bit. That one sucked. Commonwealth Andrew, good morning. How are you? Cambodia Remy Zero. Cambodia Remy Zero. Welcome to SOR chat. Thank you. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Ring that bell. All right. Race fan over on Twitch, hanging out with Algaray. Blue Cruz, nice to see you. Susan Alloway, nice to see you. Sonny Sandu, how you doing, buddy?
Did you say Sonny?
Sonny Sandu.
That's my boy.
He messaged me the other day privately, and he's like, Dave, I'm the Sonny Sandu, not Sonny Sandu, the Sonny Sandu.
There is no other. Yeah. He's like was it highlighter? He finds all the other Sonny Sandus, and it could only be one. It was like a massive battle, you know.
This is a guy, Sonny Sandu. I heard this about him. He's a guy who carries his own, not only his own Sharpie for autographs, but he carries his own highlighter. So if he sees his name anywhere, he's highlighting it with yellow highlighter.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he makes an amazing pizza. He's actually opening up a pizzeria very soon.
Oh, where?
Yeah. Right here. Sonny, you're going to have to let us know. I think it's in Surrey, but he's going to.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Maybe he could have a spaced out radio special pizza, you know?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. Pizza up here sucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Bad pizza up here.
Well,
it's like heartburn.
This opportunity.
I can't, you know what? I can't eat most of the pizzas that I like anymore because I get so much heartburn now.
Yeah, I'm getting there too. Like, especially my pepperoni pizza. Like, oh man, I feel it at like midnight. Ugh.
I have to do either the chicken with like the chicken ranch, or I have to do ham and pineapple.
You put pineapple on your pizza?
I do. I'm Canadian.
And you attack people for eating breakfast at dinner.
There is no good breakfast for dinner. Okay.
Breakfast for dinner is delicious.
You're a sick man.
Oh,
I love it, man.
It's just bacon. Bacon's available at any time.
You have Lower Mainland acid rain on you.
We're Canadian. We have access to bacon and poutine at any given time, and cardiologists, because that's all going to clog up at some point. But
and ham and pineapple pizza.
Allegedly.
Canadian.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Canadians invented that.
You know what we should do is we should get Sonny Sandu to do a big paranormal event with Merle. You know?
Should do it. Sonny actually is one of the, I would say probably the very first person to ever reach out to me.
Yeah.
When I started the podcast, he's been with me from the start, the start.
He's been coming around here recently, poking his head out like a garden gnome, looking for a new garden to make his own. You know, we're happy to have him.
Yeah, smells like pizza in here now, right? It's good. We want that.
I could use a pizza.
We got well, I think you should start a pizzeria over there. If it's you got shitty pizza at 100, like, or you're at least your area, then
Yeah.
go ahead and start one. And you call it Bigfoot because the pizza's at least, you make a Bigfoot shaped pizza,
100%.
right?
Hey, give me 2 seconds here. Thank you tonight to Kitty Caddywhack, Kevin, and Mama Catherine for the great super chats. Really appreciate your love and support. If you're new here, do us a favor. Hit subscribe, ring that bell, give us a thumbs up. We're battling being shadow banned, people. So make sure you comment a lot. And after the show, you leave a comment underneath as well. Here we go, everyone. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind everybody that if you miss portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Like literally, you should check out our swag. I redid it all. It looks absolutely amazing. And the best part about it is there's no ugly swag. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff out in public and actually be proud to wear it. And you don't even have to cover it up with a jacket. You won't, because we have jackets. We have jackets. Yes. Let's bring on our guest. You know where our website and everything is. You've heard me say it enough. Jason Guillemette, UAP Studies Podcast. What's happening with UFO disclosure? Let's get right to it. Let's hop right in. Let's step into squared circle. Is it happening or not?
Like the disclosure aspect of things. Are we actually getting it?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm curious about your answer first before I give you mine.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no. This is my show.
Oh, I see how it is. I see how it is.
My show.
I see how it is. All right.
You agreed to be peppered on this show, so I am peppering you.
Good point. I think we're getting a soft kiss on the cheek disclosure. It's not full on lips disclosure. That's still far from happening. Here's the things that we're so focused on, just like the United States alone. There's 195 countries in the world. All of them must know something. All of them have had experiences. Most of them have had crashes at some point. It's not just Russia, China, and the United States that have these. As far as we know, on the Canadian side, whenever there's crashes or a non-human intelligence that's somehow captured, or at least rumored to be captured, it is the United States that comes in and takes over. The United States did the same thing with the Virginia case, where they showed up in a matter of hours to pick up the craft and the two entities that they had. So we know globally they have dispatchments, if you will, or departments that could be mobilized like on the spot, but it's not just one country. And I think we're not addressing this enough. Obviously, it's not Canada, although Canada must have some sort of unit that, worst case scenario, if the states can't make it, they would do it. But they don't have the same budget as, the United States, which has trillions of dollars to be able to invest in their defense departments. We don't have that. But other countries such as China, which is old, like if you think about how old China is compared to the States, the amount of crash craft or discovered archaeological, hard time with that word, digs, the same way as what Bob Lazar was mentioning, they would have that equally as much as anybody else, because over time, a bunch of things would have crashed in China. And they're probably further ahead on some things than the United States. The United States might be onto something that China hasn't been on yet. What scares me is the Cold War behind the scenes. And I think this is why the disclosure is not happening. Because once the hype of disclosure settles down, the real questions from the reporters are going to start coming. How far did you get? Well, if you got that far, how far did Russia get? How far did China get? And now the Cold War gets revealed. It's not hiding underneath your school desk that's going to protect you from an atomic blast anymore. It's some serious weaponry. The scary part is it's alien tech that will be used against humans. And which one of them uses it first? If you remember the war with Japan, like when they dropped that nuclear bomb, wasn't only devastating, was what the hell was that? And then when they dropped the second, that's it, you give up. Like, you have the ultimate power. That it's bound to happen that one of them is going to have something that will just make them superior, and a dreadful freaking weapon of, like, horrific to witness. Like, it's alien technology. And this is the worst part, because it's humans doing this to humans, which to me is a treasonous act for a group of military complex, which is runaway military complex, having access to these weapons that are meant to kill you, to kill me. That's what they're meant for. Let's not kid ourselves that this is to protect us from whatever's coming. No, it's about dominion, and dominion through power. It's been too long now that the states have had no control over any of this. That's just the United States. I'm sure China has more of a reign on it, and maybe Russia. I don't think Putin is left out of that discussion at all. But when we look at what the Western world, everybody's hidden from everything. It's only the military complex that knows. This is what makes disclosure hard, because it's not coming from the government. When we keep saying, well, the government knows, they know nothing. Go look at Tim Burchett and Anna Paula Luna. See their fight of them trying to get disclosure, and they're swinging left and right, and they're hitting nothing.
Okay, but let me respond to that for a second, because you're an intelligent guy. Politicians bark are usually worse than their bite. And I think that's what's happening in this situation. How many times have we seen Tim Burchett, Anna Paulina Luna, Nancy Mace pulling the "come at me, bro" during the conference that she was getting in trouble for mentioning what was that case? The one that Michael Schellenberger broke.
Oh yeah,
Immaculate Constellation.
Yeah.
Okay, that she was going to get in big trouble if she mentioned that. She says, "Come at me, bro." I mean, going previous to her, Marco Rubio talked tough about it. Kirsten Gillibrand talked tough about it, and many others did as well. And yet, if you look at a fast forward after 4 hearings, 5 hearings, whatever it's been now, movies, documentaries, and now age of disclosure, where have we gone? Where have we pushed this subject forward? We're still playing. Hold on. We're still relying on 3 videos from 2017. And I can see where many people in the UFO world are calling this a grift, are calling this nonsense, are saying, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? Before I believe anything, show me, because all you do is go on only certain podcasts that support your cause, certain television channels that support your cause, and you say the same thing over and over again. And I mean no disrespect to people like Chris Mellon or Lou Elizondo or David Grush or whatever. They've said the same thing every time. There's never been an advancement from the initial stuff. It's like, okay, do you remember? Here's a funny example of it. Do you remember the South Park episode of the Underpants Gnomes?
Didn't watch that one.
Okay, so in South Park, they had a bunch of gnomes running around stealing underwear. So they had a 3-step way of doing this. Step 1 was steal the underpants. Step 2 had a question mark. Step 3 was profit. Well, what's step 2? Nobody knew.
Yeah.
That's where we are in the UFO world. We're still on step 1, promoting step 1. We're ready for step 2, but we have no step 2 because everybody hides behind NDAs. Everybody hides behind, I can't say this. I'm not
It's
supposed to say this.
classified.
It's classified. And I don't blame them for that. I don't. Because if I sign my life away to a piece of paper to respect the Constitution of the United States and the secrets that she keeps for the sake of prosperity, I'm going to do that. I'm going to respect that.
Yeah.
Right? Your thoughts?
Well, I think you're dead on. Exactly it. That we've heard what they have to say already, and it's repeated to nauseum. I mean, everybody's making a big deal about the age of disclosure, which I'm not knocking it. It's great, but it's nothing new, and it's the same dinosaurs that have been saying the same thing over and over again. What I want to know is the younger guys that have been working the program. What about, when you hear abduction cases where somebody says, there's all these weird entities, and then you could see military uniformed men watching on the edge of the room. I want to hear from those guys. Where are those guys? The ones that are put through this program to have to watch civilians or, people from Earth getting taken by these entities. What's the exit game for those guys? Do they get left alone once they leave? Like, what kind of, are they monitored for life? Are they shot? Like, there's so many questions, because it's not just a few hundred people in the military that would know this. We're talking about thousands that would know something. And this includes the janitors at the facility, the stock boy, whatever it is. There's people that know where these facilities are, and some people have much more access to these programs. But we keep hearing from the same people say, well, in the 1970s, I could remote view the moon. Great. It is 2025, about to be 2026. Can we get something new? I'm sure that we have installed, that we've run out of progress on the subject, that we got to keep rehashing the same stuff that came out in the 70s, the 80s, or the 90s. So yeah, you're right. I believe we need new content. We need new information.
How do we get it though? How do we get it if this subject is so controlled by the scientists, by the for-profit groups, by the defense, by the alphabet agencies, by the military industrial complex? If the subject is that controlled, how do we get it, Jason? Is it even possible, or is it a pipe dream?
It is possible, but never put any trust or hope in the military complex or government establishments. Like, it's foolish for us to wait for them to say something. We don't trust them with anything else in our lives. We're going to think that they're going to tell us about non-human intelligence that's obviously smarter than them. No, they're not going to want that. But it has to be civilian-run investigations, and not only that, but research. There's issues now where even murders are being solved by people at home. The Charlie Kirk thing, tons of people are like, look at this. They're doing all these analytical work that some police departments or FBI can't even do. And when you outsource these questions or these videos to the public, they'll come up with something. They got your back. Somebody will crack it. And these people are not even on the radar of the government. The government doesn't even think about the think tank that is out there, that is the community, on the internet, the people that are smart, intelligent with programs, that they don't factor this stuff in, so they have to adapt to it. Right now, what we have is an inundation of false information, false leads, false narratives amongst truth. So you got a documentary that's coming out. What's the best thing to do? Well, you convolute the water. You make it murky where people can't make sense of anything, because nothing makes sense. So-and-so says this, so-and-so argues. Like, Stephen Greer will always argue with everybody about everything. As far as he's concerned, he's the only one that knows anything about anything and documentaries. He owns all of it. He told everybody everything, and they ripped him out. It's really sad to see this popularity contest, like stuff we used to have back when we were in school, like the hot girl in school, like the new girl moved in and she's not hotter than me. And this is exactly what ufology has become, is high school games. And why I get obsessed is that if somebody just reads something on the internet or hears from somebody else, but cannot vet the information, it should never be told like I've been told. I've been given secret information. Trust me, bro. Everybody's tired of the trust me, bro. And I think almost make some swag. You should do that. UFO, trust me, bro. Like that's the tagline comes along with it. And I think people are fed up of that because we are way past, oh, they're in the sky or they're in the water. We're already talking about they're in our bedrooms at night or they take me every once in a while. Like we're way past that they're here. We know they're here. Let's get to where we're at now. Like the people needs to catch up. The subject needs to catch up. And I think this is the part that I don't like is that there's a Cold War to reverse this technology. And there's a great silence to not tell people, the public, that, yeah, there's nothing that any government can do or military can do to stop these coming and goings and taking of people.
But what about abduction aside? What about the people out there who are saying, this is the first time I'm hearing this, even though to you and I, it's old hat. It's going on 8 years. It's over 8 years that we've been hearing the same message. That's to you and me. But there is a whole catalog of people out there that have never heard this statement before that keeps them on level one. Take those underpants.
Yeah. Yeah. And never question step number 2.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. But to be honest with you, and I say this sometimes, it sounds so bad, but consciously, we're not all on the same scale. Some of us are further up the scale than others. And I'm just saying that if you go down the street like Vancouver and you look at people on the street, you realize that it's not just the IQ, it's the consciousness of the person is not really there to begin with. And there's tons of people that take a position of neutrality when they are either not informed or they just don't care. And the worst part of neutrality is that whenever something needs to be voted on, you have pros and cons. The neutral people are what make something remain the same or change without any contest because they don't care. They're apathetic. What we're dealing with in this subject is apathy from the general public. And the reason is because, well, it doesn't affect me. I work at the mill. I have 5 kids to feed. What are UFOs going to do about it? Nothing. That is apathetic. And it's also not thinking very high because you're only focused on making money, going home, watching TV, and repeat. There's not much of a consciousness there. It's just basically what we're brainwashed to do is just work, 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 and then you die. And then your kids inherit your money and get to spend it. That's it. That's our way of thinking, which is not correct. What gets people going in this subject, and you and me included, is that our lives were abruptly interrupted and we were shown something, a part of reality that other people that are apathetic don't care about, right? It's kind of like Stranger Things, right? It reminds me of that. Like the kids are affected, but people in the town don't know what the hell's going on, even though it's happening right there. So I think that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a general population that doesn't care, but I think they're not supposed to. I think that's part of the plan. If there is a bigger problem here, it's not just the visitation of these crafts, but biologically the manipulation that they're doing to us, which I think, and again, I always go back to the abduction and the hybrid programs because that's what I study, but I'm serious when I say this. There's, when they say they walk among us, what they mean is the general population doesn't know that some people are hybrids. The hybrids don't even know they're hybrids. That's the thing. The government keeps tabs on these people as best as they can. But if you follow family lines, you realize that, okay, the government is already aware of entire family lines. This is past crafts in the sky and are they here and you recovered biologics. Now we're talking about manipulation of DNA from a species. Like it gets crazy. And this is why disclosure is so scary because it opens up a Pandora's box of holy crap, we can't cram this back in. It's getting too scary. And this is the problem is that once it's out of the box, it's going to become a nightmare. Not only a nightmare for the people trying to keep this secret, but a nightmare for the people that didn't know about this. And all of a sudden their world is interrupted or changed overnight. Like they thought the COVID issue was bad. This would be even worse. Like some people just can't react to it. Consciously, they're not there. So I don't know. I think that's what we're dealing with the most, Dave. I think that's what they're banking on is the naivety and the ignorance of people.
So if I get you correctly with 4.5 minutes to go, the only way true disclosure comes out is through catastrophic disclosure, because anything else is going to be so vanilla, so washed down, so insulting to the subject that it's not even worth it.
It's not even insulting to the subject, it's insulting to your intellect. How they treat everybody that's in this chat right now, or anybody who's interested in this subject, is with absolute contempt. I've never seen any other subject in which a government and a military holds you in contempt, and they'll treat their own politician with contempt. And that's what I mean. It's evident by their actions or lack thereof that they know what's going on. And whatever reasons they have to keep it secret, it's not for national security. It's because we have weapons we don't want the other reverse engineer countries knowing about. And every day, you and I just go about our days not knowing what they're doing behind the scenes. You know how many times world governments almost destroyed the world with some sort of technology? Like when they first ignited the nuclear bomb, they had no idea that the whole atmosphere of the world wasn't going to catch on fire. They're like, well, push the buttons. Let's see what happens. Hadron Collider, same thing. Oh, well, push a button, see what happens. You and I go about our daily lives, we never know. And this is the part that's insulting. We have every right to know. Especially if this is happening to us, the general population, the same as it's happening to the military complex. We have every right to know. I think as an adult, you're very intelligent, Dave. You have every right to know what's going on in reality. You've earned it at this point, right?
Well, I also thought I earned a good Canadian government, but I was wrong there too. But that's for a different
sucker.
That's for a different time and a different story. But you are right. You know, we do deserve to figure out what's going on. However, Jason, we know that there are people out there, scientists especially, who don't want the public looking into this subject. They want us to stay out of the way. They believe that amateur science, as well as the experiencers, are like a death knell to this subject getting credibility. 2 minutes.
Yes, but that's changing. I think there's a big shift in the scientific community, specifically the civilian run aspect of things, that they're now picking up on it, because a lot of these scientists are either witnesses or experiencers themselves. And that is coming forward in and of itself. That's evidence that not only are the people that are working in the military complex, like how many people have we interviewed that, we talked to that are people of the DOD or CIA, and they're all experiencers or abductees, or there's something related or had childhood experiences with them, and they all get jobs at these specific branches of government or military. So there is something there. And when you follow the breadcrumbs, you realize how massive this is. And that's why it seems so elusive, because it's everywhere. It's literally leaked into our culture. I've seen a big uptake in views on videos and of newscasters sort of promoting this a lot more than they have in the past. And I'm just happy to see it.
I like the fact that there is a lot more coverage of this subject. What I would like to see in the journalism world is have some of these guys, these reporters and journalists, dig a little deeper into the subject, much like Ross Coulthart, much like George Knapp, much like a few others. But I think if you had more independent journalists digging into the subject, it would open up a lot more doors, because there's a lot of people who feel, and I'm not saying this is true or not, there's a lot of people who feel somebody like Ross Coulthart may be bought off. Somebody like George Knapp may be bought off. Somebody like, even to counter that, Stephen Greenstreet from the New York Post. People believe he's paid to be a disinfo against the subject. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for any of them. But they all have worked their sources. They've all been given opportunities. So it would be nice to see somebody independent on the outside looking in to grab this story and say, let's really dig into it. You know, that would be great. Jason, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go here on Spaced Out Radio. The next big question for Jason, are there gatekeepers controlling the information? This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, buddy, we're clear.
Clear.
Zap him again.
In a world where Dave Scott was the ruler of radio.
Oh,
Can do your
God.
trailers for you. Just like that movie.
That's just sexy. That's just damn
One-
sexy.
One man and a monkey.
I'll be right back, brother.
Yeah, man.
I'm putting you in the green room. Be right back, everybody. right. I am back. Bring Jason back in. It's just he's coughing, which is beautiful. There we go. Who came in here? Let's see here.
Yeah, it's that time of the year.
Hillbilly Herb, how you doing? Woo Poo, nice to see you. Flubber Lane, nice to have you here. All right, we're caught up.
Just so you know, while you were gone, we were all psychically trying to move your chair.
I hope so.
Yeah, collectively, one of your members there, she was saying, "Hey, we could all do it." And I think we're
Jared
super crazy.
Carter, nice to see you. Juliana, yes, we're out of jail because we're broadcasting on YouTube. So yes, we are out of jail. Thank you tonight to Mama Catherine, Kevin, and Kitty. The super chat is open. A wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And don't forget, our store is open with brand new swag from t-shirts to jackets, baseball caps, and everything in between. Go check it out. We'd appreciate it. Here we go. We're into hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Wengum. Wengum is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our guest tonight, Jason Guillemette. He is from UAP Studies Podcast. He started this. He's created it. He is a very, very good voice of reason when it comes to everything about UFOs, disclosure, and what's going on. He's attended UAP hearings in Washington, D.C. Jason, thank you so much for being here.
No, I pay you to say good things about me, and it's really showing. You know, my money's really going to the right place. I love it. You do really good work. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I'm great, brother. Yeah, I'm great. It's fun to be here. It's fun to chat.
One of the subjects I want to talk to you about, because I've talked to a number of people, whether it's Grant Cameron, Lori and Fenton, Tom Whitmore, Bob Spearing from MUFON, many, many others about this subject. And there all is this collective feeling that this narrative is being completely controlled against the will of the public. What is your thoughts on this?
Yeah. It's weird because I'm trying to think about what the gatekeepers could be, because we keep thinking it's high brass, some sort of high-ranking generals and admirals somewhere controlling this. And I don't think that's necessarily it. I think this is so complex that all the different parts to it, if there is a collective of all this information, of everything that's happening with this, it would be very few people that would have the full picture or our understanding of this picture. I think it helps that it's a very scary subject. It's also something that people don't want to think about or believe that it's there or dismiss it completely, because it makes it easy to just say, hey guys, it's a weather balloon. Oh, well, it's a weather balloon. I'll go to bed. You see, it's easier for us to be manipulated, because if you give me something that will allow me to sleep at night, if I'm scared of something, then I'll take it. You know, if I see a flying saucer outside and I'm terrified, and you tell me, actually, Jason, you were tripping on your coffee because you had and you just come up with something silly. I'm like, oh, well, that's what it was. It was just my coffee. I was tripping on my coffee. Whatever gives me an out to not face something, I will take it. And humans do that across the board. Any subject you're not interested in, you'll never hear it. It's like when somebody talks to you and says a word you've never heard before, and all of a sudden you hear it everywhere. Everybody else seems to use it, or it's on TV. You're like, why was I never aware of this word? It's always been around, but your brain never registered it as being important. This is what this phenomenon is. It plays on the outside, just on the outskirts of our consciousness. It's just right on the border of that. And when I was saying we're chasing wisps, is that I think that's what it is. We're not chasing the right things. Maybe the real psyop is forcing us to look in a direction that we shouldn't be looking. We should be looking over here instead. Obfuscators is more what I think of, not gatekeepers. Obfuscators control the news. They'd either tell you something or don't tell you anything at all, or tell you lies. And these guys are good at what they do, like AI good at what they do. But because what we're dealing with is beyond this physical realm, it may play into the spiritual realm, the consciousness realm. We don't want to face that. It's too scary while we're in this body. For some reason, we want it simple. I want a simple life. Christmas is coming up. I don't want it to be ruined. Just focus on Christmas. And that's what we do. We all do this to a certain extent. You have a day job. I have a day job. We don't do this all the time. We have to focus our energy on this to come back to this subject on a regular basis. And it takes mental energy to think about this subject or to investigate it. You know this, you're doing this like 5 days or 5 nights a week. Like, it's exhaustive, right? But this is what people don't want to do. They want to think about it, and they certainly don't want to look into the depths of the meaning of it. This is why I'm saying it's always like a soft kiss on the cheek from the government or the military, because people can't handle anything. You're looking at press releases now of 2 actresses that are in the movie Wicked, and they're scared by like helicopters. It's like we've gone to a ridiculous point where you cannot have a rational conversation, and it's already hard enough to talk about this subject without appearing crazy. I think it's trying to put a genie back in the bottle by bringing back the ridiculousness of it. And I think we're doing ourselves a disservice because so many of us, and I mean people in the field, are biting at things they shouldn't be biting at, or clearly should have done a more thorough investigation before claiming it as fact. And I want this community to be cleaned up as best as I can, because we're never going to get disclosure. If I'm fighting with you, you're fighting with me, and we're saying, well, don't listen to Dave's research, listen to mine, I'm the authority. And there's no unity in anything ufology. Again, we're talking about your reputation is shot if you do one thing wrong out of 100. But the other thing is the attack within the community saying, well, no, this guy's false. Okay, we do that enough, and I understand that some people have really earned that reputation. But the new players in the field, they don't need to do that game. We need people that are going to be pushing this investigative. We don't need another podcast. I'll just say it flat out. We don't need another podcast. We don't need another YouTube channel covering this. There's multiple sources of this. What we need is boots on the ground. And what we need are people to actually do the research, look through documentation, or look at people that work in programs that supposedly don't exist. Like, how are they employed if technically they don't work anywhere? Those are the people that we should be looking into. Follow the money. Contractors, which contractors were hired for what job? Was the job completed? Like, look at the receipts. There's tons of stuff that people could be doing instead of fighting one another. We could be contributing to this. And I think as long as we're divided, the obfuscators are going to play that like a fiddle. Like, they're going to play us to our own games. If we can't get our own house in order, how we expect the Congress or governments at large to play ball with us? We can't even agree amongst ourselves.
But that also blends to the cover-up. Okay, there are a lot of people who believe, and I don't know how true it is, but there are a lot of people who believe that the alphabet agencies out there have, helped out, shall we say, some of these podcasters, some of these X space creators. X is a war zone in the UFO world. If you ever want to see big time drama in the UFO world, go to X.
Saving Private Ryan, the beginning is like, that's what X is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's D-Day every day on Omaha Beach.
Limbs everywhere.
No disrespect to the veterans for that.
No.
Okay.
No.
But it's a nasty portion. And it's funny that if that is the truth that is going on, that this community, which is by all intents and purposes extremely small compared to what is going on in the world, that there would be that much attention being paid to it.
Yeah, and if you think such a small group is asking for something, it wouldn't be that difficult to prove it or not prove it. I think if you think about how many flat earthers there are out there, probably equal, or if not equal to, maybe slightly close to people that are interested in ufology. But ufology is the subject of non-human intelligence visiting us. And I think once you get into it, you see the layers of depth, the history of this. It's clearly evident that they're here. Even if you've never had an experience, you were never thrown into it. And I think this is what people don't understand, is that you don't just become obsessed with this subject and devote your life to covering the subject, investigating and helping other people with it just because you're slightly interested and you read a book once. That's not the way it works. The people that I know, including our friend Katie Page, experience is what triggered it. And then what was that? Chasing that for the rest of your life, saying, wait a minute. And this is part of it. I keep saying that when you get an experience like that, it's like being pulled out of a play you didn't even know was a play. You were an actor on stage playing your part, and all of a sudden you get taken behind backstage and you see the stagehands and you see the props, you see the cables and everything, and then you get put back into play, but you're the only one in the play that knows that. This is what this phenomenon is, and that's what it does to people. And the thought of that for most people is they can't imagine it, especially if you're left brain. You have no imagination. You can't fathom what that would be like. I'm not saying it doesn't happen to people that are left brain. Of course it would, but their imagination is not on par to remember this because it's so out there. I think the amount of people that have had experiences far outweighs what's actually out there now. I think some people must have incredible stories. And I keep saying this, Dave, and to nauseum, but if we want to know what they're doing here, look at the abductees, the line of abductees, like what, mom was an abductee, grandma was an abductee. Those people will lead us closer to the entities than chasing lights in the sky, because we can't reproduce that. What we know, though, is that abductions are repeated occurrences. And as far as science is concerned, you got to try to, get the data when these experiences happen. What the scary bit is when the Age of Disclosure movie came out and somebody says, well, they don't even think that we're that special. They're more at war with each other. We're just kind of like in between. That's hard on the morale. That's a little bit hard. It's like, well, we're not even that special. Like, they're here flying around. We're thinking, what do they want with us? Where in reality, we might just be like, they're just here. They're really at war with each other. Kind of like China, Russia, and the United States. Like, they're doing their own thing. We're just caught in the middle. And I think that might be it too, is that, look, they're here, but there's nothing we can do about it. They're really focused on their own crap. We have barely any information on them. What they do give us is just like morsels. Maybe that is disclosure. Maybe they don't know as much as we think they know. And that may very well be the case. When J.K. Rowling writes Harry Potter or J.R.R. Tolkien writes Lord of the Rings, you know that they know a lot more about what they're writing about. It's just evident in their writing. And I think disclosure must be similar to that. You'd be able to tell there's layers to what somebody is saying, or if it's just surface. And I think that's what we got to try to discern.
What's your opinion then on the whistleblowers? My opinion has changed quite a bit. Okay. And I've come to realize we don't have a single whistleblower. We have military experiencers who are, for the most part, sharing their experience while they were in camouflage. Now, the two that I would give some credence to would be number one, David Grush, number two, Dylan Borland. Okay, Dylan Borland came out in the last hearing and was telling about how he had seen a black triangle while on duty and then did what he was supposed to do, reported it to Arrow and other authorities way he was supposed to, and his career was ruined for that. So I'm just curious, like for you looking into this, the whistleblowers, are there whistleblowers? Are they true whistleblowers? Or are we blowing them up in order to make sure that, you know, we give them credibility?
Well, what's really weird about this, and it bugs me more and more, and I do believe that you're right about those two gentlemen, especially Grush. When you look at what has happened, the steps that were taken to harass them, physically threaten them, go after their financial, like they really went, there's evidence that the military complex, the very defense department they worked for, were trying to sabotage them and basically trying to quiet them for a job they hired them to do. And this is the part that really ticks me off, is that you hired these guys and then you make their life a living hell once these guys are like, wait a minute, I didn't sign up to deal with aliens. I signed up to defend my country against Afghanistan or something else. And now you're being thrown with non-human intelligence. Yeah, that's going to mess some people up. And if there's evidence of they've been tampered with and messed with, like when you see the new documentaries, like how many times have we seen the old dinosaurs talk about the programs they were a part of? I've never seen them harass or say that they were bugged by the government, that, you know, Hal Puthoff was threatened physically to shut up. Like you never hear that. But Grush comes out, he gets it. And I don't know. I think it's two-faced. It's like, why is one being treated one way and the other one's treated another way? It's because one is clearly allowed to talk about this for whatever reason, and the other is not. That's preferential treatment. Like you can't do that. That's like a two-state policing system. Why is Hal Puthoff allowed to talk about it? You know, Jason Sands and all that, they're allowed to talk about, well, Jason Sands got in trouble too, but bigger names that never get approached or threatened. And they were part of the big program. So this is the issue that I have. I trust David Grush more than I've trusted anybody else so far in this field because of what he went through and because of what he continues to go through. I don't think anybody could look at it and say, well, he must be full of crap. Who in their right mind would go through all of that just for a lie, like ruin his entire life for what? So he could be interviewed on News Nation? Like, come on, guys. I think that the evidence is clear, but again, we hide, right? We don't want to deal with it. Whatever allows me to sleep at night, I'll take.
Well, that is something that is very, very accurate in what you're saying, I believe, from the people I have talked to as well. Okay, we need to be able to have these people tell their stories, whether it's happening at an Air Force base in Washington State or a naval base in Pensacola. Those stories do need to come out, but those stories are no different than your story or my story. The only difference is the uniform.
Yep. The experience is a human experience with non-humans. It doesn't matter what uniform. Like, here's the thing. When I was in Washington and I saw like these generals walking down this, like, it was so cool because I never thought I would experience that in my life. But I realized it's just a suit with a haircut. That's it. You put pins as much as you want. That guy is no different than me. He may know stuff about war because that's his job, but his suit does not make him more, won't exclude him from this experience. Like, you think aliens will care about your suit and your little pins you put on your, like, that's self-gratification. Like, they don't care. Right? Take off your clothes, get on the table like everybody else. I think here's the thing. We think that they're an echelon of group of men that know this. Like, they're probably as terrified as we are of this. And because we live short life, it's not like they've been in the program since the start. They must have been integrated as time goes on. Obviously, by the time you get into these programs now, they're well-established. Facilities already there. Technology is already there. There's stains on the carpet. It's been there a long time. And another person I believe in and still will defend to today is Bob Lazar, because of the exact same thing that David Grush went through, he went through. And Bob Lazar is the first person to ever blow the whistle on this. And regardless of what you think of him, before Bob Lazar, we didn't know about S4 Area 51. And nobody ever knew about the UFOs that would fly at 7:30 on a Wednesday night in the middle of the desert, but he did. So if he knew those two things, and we now know what we know because of him, he wasn't lying, was he? Even if it was a janitor, he was still there, wasn't he? Like, this is the part that we got to understand. Like, look at the details in a person's life and how the military, the Defense Department went above and beyond, say, you shut up. And they do the same thing to civilians. You and I get the same treatment, right? The men in black, the visits from the military after an occurrence, we get the exact same treatment. It's shut up. Everybody shuts up. Even our own employee shuts up. So this is the part that to me is aggravating, is that there's nobody that seems to be allowed to say anything. We see the room is on fire, but we can't call it. I think that's what ufology is. I think this is what this phenomenon is people just saying, no, let's just pretend it's not here. Let's pretend it's not happening. And maybe it won't. And I think that's fantasy. I think that's delusional on our part. That's why I want disclosure,
Want disclosure too, okay, but I don't believe it's going to happen that way. I want to get into it, and this subject may carry over to the next half hour. Big debate whether or not in the UFO world, and I've taken some heat over this from listeners and other people alike on this, but I stand fast by this, and I'm curious your opinion. Speaking of the gatekeepers, there are a lot of times when you hear these whistleblowers come out, and they're not on UAP Studies Podcast. They're not on Spaced Out Radio. They're not on Jimmy Church's great radio show. They're not on, Martin Willis's podcast UFO. They're not on a lot of these channels. Why do you think that is?
It's the pay-to-play system right now. And I've been warning this. I think we talked about this a couple of times prior, over the last year or so. But it is a pay-to-play right now. It's the guys that have big pockets that are affording these trips and these big interviews with big production values that you and I don't have access to. And it is a pay-to-play, meaning that they got the money to reserve a witness to themselves. And, well, you can't talk to anybody else until our interview comes out. And you got to wait at least 2 months before you do an interview anywhere else. And there's a contract they must sign. But it's infotainment, UFOtainment, right? So that's exactly what they're doing. It's the pay to play. And they know that small guys like us, even though we might ask some other questions that are better than theirs, or we've been at this longer, will never get the light of day because we don't have the money. But this is perfect for the PSYOP guys, because you just need to focus on those dudes. But again, follow the money. Where's the money coming from? Some of them are big investors, and some of them have big news broadcasters that support them or financially. But I would say follow the money.
I think it's more than just that. It's my opinion. But we can get into that in the next half hour, because I want to continue this conversation. It's important as the ball tries to move forward on the disclosure topic, Jason. And you know that.
Yeah.
I know that. The public, though, may not see it. But it is a reality that we are trying to break through. Not everybody goes rogue like Jason Sands has. Not everybody. More people are towing the company line, so to speak. But there are people out there, Jason, who believe that the message is being controlled. That's what we'll get into next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. Hi, everybody. Good show tonight, buddy. Hold on, I got you on mute. Or you got yourself on mute.
Well, it was all good things that I was saying. Just I don't remember what I was saying, but no, yeah. I love when the conversation goes well. And went out, got myself some 2 coffees, make sure that was nice and awake. You know.
Wanted to add some color to this. I don't know if I'll be able to do it here.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's going Waldo, full on Waldo.
No, I'm gonna have to untie it and refold it. Hat's just a little too black.
Yeah, put some color on it. I went down to, I think it was Fabricland, and on this one here, I got like strips of leather with like this cord, and they sell like different trinkets, and you can actually design, some good hat perks, I guess.
Right? This is my my GNR Appetite for Democracy headband.
Nice.
They don't even make these anymore. So let's go like this. Go the half. How much time do we have? Lots of time. Sweetly Morbid, how are you? See if I can get this going here. See if this will work for me. Don't know if it will, but we're going to try it. Nope, that ain't going to work. Gosh darn it. Try this way. I think I need to stretch this out a little bit.
Too tight?
Yeah. Old bandana too.
Yeah. You know what they say? Can't teach old bandanas new tricks.
That's the truth. You hear it all the time.
All the time.
You hear it all the time. Like you just can't get.
It's a Canadian thing.
You think you can get there, but you just can't. You know what I'm saying?
My grandfather used to say, can't teach old bandanas new tricks.
Right? See if this will work. I think my head's just too fucking big to be blunt. Pardon my language, but
maybe it's just.
Fat
I was gonna say get a haircut, but your hair looks pretty trimmed already. Get a haircut, you hippie.
Not sitting the way I want. I'm gonna have to wash this to do it.
You wouldn't need much. Even like a white band or something around the hat would look nice.
Yeah. White band with I'd love to get like a leather bullet holster on the side.
Oh yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could get stuff like that on Amazon too, like to spruce up your hat.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Nothing like a good hat, you know?
You got to have a good chapeau, you know. 3 super chatters tonight. Guess who they are? Well, they're Mama Catherine, they're Kevin, and they're Kitty. Yeah, they are. Yes, Sunny Sandu, I will be at GNR in Vancouver, August 2026, the 29th to be exact. I will be there. 100% I will be there. God bless them.
Like all State Farm, you'll be there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us, as we really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone tuning us in. Reminder to you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Jason Guillemette. We have him until the top of the hour here on the show. He's from UAP Studies Podcast. We're talking about the handlers because many people believe that in the UFO world, those who are allegedly in the know, those who we call the whistleblowers, those who we call the government agents, they are all said, literally, they are all said to be handled by some sort of gatekeeper. And those gatekeepers control who they can speak to, who they can't, whether it's News Nation or whether it's certain podcasts that just seem to be on Discord channels that these people are. Jason, welcome back.
Yeah, you're spot on. It's certain names out of the industry right now that are getting the bulk of all the new whistleblowers or new content, allegedly. Yeah, it's like I mentioned before the commercial break. It is very much a pay-to-play, aspect right now in ufology. Is you got the money, then we'll do the show. If you don't waste my time. And to tell the truth, there's some people that are very well-known people already in the community that want a lot or demand a lot from the people that are going to be on their show. You got to have a certain amount of followers. You got to be, how many views are you going to get? And they ask you all these questions prior to coming on. And to me, being an investigator is kind of like, well, the point is not to reach 1 million people for your interview and to be seen by 1 million people, but how about impacting, even if it was 20 people out of 1,000 people that watches an episode or something, even if it's a small podcast, those 20 people get a lot more out of it than 1 million people watching something that they'll just watch it for 2 seconds and flip over because it's the same thing. We talk about the gatekeepers, but again, to me, the old dinosaurs need to move aside because the old dinosaurs just keep repeating the same. And we've heard what you had to say 1,000 times. There's 14 documentaries about this case. Like, it's ad nauseum. And you're right. This phenomenon doesn't stop. It goes on 24/7 and it's around the world. So there's no way that we're still reviewing cases from the 70s and 80s, as great as they are. There's stuff happening right now. And technology right now is the best it's ever been. And for a UFO investigator, I mean, my cell phone, people would have killed to have this back in the day for investigative work. I could do everything off my phone. Flying overhead, I go to Flight Radar 24. Is it? Oh, yeah, no, it's a plane. Go to Stellar, or Stellarium, and then look. Well, no, actually, that was a satellite that flew by. It wasn't a UFO. Like, it does so much to remove doubt or eliminate certain things out of the way. And you could even do your research after it happened, like days after it happened. As long as you know the time, you could find out if there was a plane overhead or a satellite. It's amazing what technology can do. I think at this point, what we need to do is a collective work, put it through AI, find common denominators maybe that we can't find or we don't seem to spot very easily. Maybe it can help us in that regard. I don't think AI will be any service to sort of this disinformation campaign. You can't control that, what the AI says about it. But I think we should use that as best as we can while we can before it's regulated. And they say, well, you can't search that up on AI because, if it becomes powerful enough, it's going to tell you things. But this is weird. It's a weird thing because people die so fast. If you think about it, there's people in these programs, they die fast and they don't tell their secrets to anyone. And I think, we're talking about disclosure, where true disclosure will come from are right now the men and women in service of their country's military, regardless of what country, stepping forward and talking about this. There's a group of elderly gentlemen right now that are fighting the VA in the States because supposedly they never worked at Area 51, which they did for decades, but it was never on record that they worked there. So the VA won't cover their cancer treatments. A lot of them have cancer, radiation, and all types of diseases because, they used to use the white sands over there like nuclear testing facilities, and they would launch bombs, and then they moved in the whatever it is that we're working on over there. So yeah, a lot of people got ill, and we're talking about service people. We're talking about in the thousands that are probably affected today that they can't eat. They're on the street. Why? Because they were part of these programs, and because they were never there, they're not covered. Mental health in general is never covered. There's a gentleman at the, I believe his name is Gary, from the Rendlesham incident. He got a heart condition being next to the object. And still to this day, he has to go to the Wright-Patterson Air Force to see their doctors. It was like 40 years ago, and he still has to go there today at the Wright-Patterson Air Force, even though he's a civilian, for anything heart-related. He cannot go to a general hospital. He's forbidden to do that unless there's like a heart attack, but then it would just transfer him back over there. If there's nothing to this phenomenon, if it doesn't affect people, if it doesn't exist, why does he have to do that? And why does he get covered? Because obviously it was well documented, but the people at S4, they get sick. How many people have died work on these projects because they're close proximity to something they didn't even know, a disease, radiation? The amount of deaths that is behind this is another reason why disclosure cannot happen, because there's a lot of families that are going to have questions and they should get answers. We talk about human trafficking in this. Ufology is huge. That's another thing the governments would have to come forward with. The missing people, the people that they've willingly donated to these non-human intelligence. Like, I can't even imagine the thousands that we're talking about. And that's just one country. I'm just talking about the States. Yeah.
I want to ask you about this. So, you being one of the more popular podcasters regarding this subject, your shows have been downloaded hundreds of thousands of times. Okay. When you go to get a guest, you've interviewed everybody from Jacques Vallée to Gary Nolan and everybody in between who is considered one of the names in this field. Okay. How do you do this? And how has the game changed since when these guys were more than willing to come on your show and tell you their stories to where it is today? Take us through that process.
It was easier earlier on, I think, because the subject was becoming more dominant in the news. I think podcasts really pushed that. When I first started it in 2020, I could reach out practically to anybody and they would respond, say, yeah, I'd love to go on your podcast, talk about it, because it wasn't that many. Certainly nothing named UAP. I was the very first podcast to ever use a UAP. And I know you don't like UAP, but I used it first. And I'm happy I did, because the name stuck around. And I think because of that, it was easier back in the day to get these people on. What happened with this influx of new shows, whether it's YouTube or Spotify podcasts, is now they're being inundated with requests of like new podcasts that have formed over the weekend, and they're in the multitudes. So they could select which ones they're going to be on better than they could previously. And now, unless it's a big name that's attached to that email, they won't even bother responding. If you get anything at all like, no, thank you, I'm not even interested, you're lucky. So that's really changed. And what has changed is that now it's like, well, now you need to pay me for my time because I've become something. So now I want to be paid. Well, how long is this going to be? What are the questions you're going to ask me? So that all changed. And I think it's probably because they went on other podcasts. Maybe they got burnt. Maybe somebody was trying to pin them on something, or like through experience, these people have become a lot harder to get onto a podcast that, maybe it's just started, or maybe you got some traction, but you know what? You don't have enough views per week, so I'm not going to do it. Like, that is where I have an issue with. The moment that your ego crosses into your sharing information or educating people on the subject, that's wrong. If I'm in a room, a coffee shop, and I invited everybody to come in, I'm going to do talk on aliens or UFOs, and 2 people show up, guess what? I'm talking to those 2 people, because those 2 people will have more of an impact to my conversation, and then they'll impact others than, like I said, a popular show, which I'm just going to skip over to the part that I want to hear now, because everything's chapters. I don't have an attention span of 3-hour interview. I just want the good bits. And I think that's the problem now, is the interviews are too long, takes too much time. The questions, there could be surprise questions in there. You don't do that. It's not like you supplant people like, oh, Dave got me again with that tricky questions. Like, but people do that, and they do that for entertainment. They want to get the clickbaits. They want the aha moment. Like, look, I made him stumble over his words, or he looked stupid when I asked him this. And that's what it is. It's entertainment. It's not about knowing what the other person knows. It's about popularity. Like, oh, that name is popular. Like Jim Jones is all of a sudden a popular person. Let's have him on the podcast. I know nothing about him, but let's have him on. I think that's the problem that we have. We chase, we rush to something too fast, purely based on a name. Yeah.
And you know what's funny? I was talking to one of my radio station owners, Len Novin, at the Rattler in Apache Junction. Hi, Len, if you're listening in, because I know you fall asleep to us every night. Okay. And we were talking about how the numbers, his station numbers have jumped to around 1.5, 1.6 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And out of that, in the night where we broadcast, we're around 90,000 people. That's good numbers.
That's great.
Very good numbers. And we were talking about a lot of these podcasters who put these shows together, where they go on these so-called networks that are claiming, you're going to get 1 million downloads in no time, or 1 million people listen to you. And in the meantime, you go check out their YouTube channel, and they've got like 286 subscribers. And their X account has like 158 followers. I mean, it's impossible. It's impossible. And a lot of people will try to use those numbers to butter people up. But these people who are in the know, they already know that. And they've already classified everybody in that group. You're in that group. We're in that group. It doesn't matter if you've spoken to them in the past or not, or you have a great reputation. Like, I know you have a great reputation out there. And I know that we have a great reputation out there amongst the community. However, these people are watching. And like you said, thought you hit the nail on the head, because it happened to me with Dr. Stephen Greer. How many listeners do you have? Yeah. How many subscribers do you have? And if you're under a certain amount, they don't want to take the time to actually go on your show.
Yeah. Or you see who they are behind the scenes. Like, here's the thing. Like, you start attending, events and you run into people a few times and you're like, wait a minute. When the camera's not on, this guy is not the same, right? The camera comes on, hey guys, wear a nice vest, look like Jay Allen, high neck, but in real life, they're not like that. And this is what people need to know is don't idolize anybody in ufology. That's the worst thing you could do. Nobody is like the person to go to. It's teamwork to make the dream work, which I say to nauseam, but it's true. Unless we pull our efforts together, we're going to get nowhere. We're dealing with civilizations, not just one, but multiple. You think one person has the answer to everything? It's impossible. And it's idiotic. I think the biggest issue that we have is that we're arrogantly ignorant. If I don't know something, I will go out of my way to make sure that I don't know anything about it. But I'll state my opinion about it. I shouldn't have an opinion because I didn't investigate, but I'll say it. And you were talking about this, how all these shows are coming up and we're all getting clumped in. Excuse me. Cold season. The problem is people now, they want the reward and the title without doing the work. So, if you look like a singer, you look like you could really, you look like Steven Tyler, but you can't sing a note, but you tell everybody you're a singer, right? You're not a singer, you're a poser. And I think we have a lot of that in ufology. People are like, I've been studying UFOs. Really? Because when I Google your name, nothing pops up. You literally came out last week out of nowhere. And all of a sudden you got like over 150,000 subscribers in a week. How is that possible? I don't have the money to put out ads the way they do, but they sure do. And the reason is why it upsets me is that it's not necessarily good. Just because you have money to spend on this doesn't mean that you're going to create great content. And it doesn't mean that you're going to get a great interview. It just means that people are definitely going to do the interview because you're going to pay them. You're going to fly them first class to your studio. You're going to wine and dine them. I would go on that. Like, who wouldn't? But it's doing a disservice to the actual investigators out there. If I see somebody has been busting their butts, like Katie Page, she's been doing this for how long? And yet you mentioned Jesse Michaels. Everybody knows him, but she's been investigating more cases than he ever has. Nobody, you know what I mean? Nobody knows who Katie is. It's like, how is this possible? How is somebody who has done nothing more famous than somebody who has done almost everything and should be like, wow, you've done a lot of work and should be on shows? No. We'll get the new kid on the block. So this is what makes me mad.
I agree with you, but who are the gatekeepers who are calling that shot to create the Jesse Michaels of the world?
I think it's almost like the same way politicians have handlers, from corporations that sort of sweeten the deal. I think these people have a liaison like that as well, connected to the Defense Department. You're looking for this person? I could hook you up. And you mix lies, you mix good things with deceit, and somebody doesn't know for a long time. And if you know the key players are, because you just need to know who has the money to put out this production, how often do they put out content? If it's once a week, every week, and it's a big show, 3 hours long, well, bingo, that's your guy. He attracts, 3 million views a month. Bingo, that's our guy. If I'm in a Defense Department and I'm trying to spread false information, I'm going after the big names first, because you fool more people that way than you would with smaller guys. You work your way down the chain. But if we're saying that, look, it's impossible for Jesse Michaels or Ross Coulthard or Bryce Zabel to ever be compromised. No, they're human just like you and I are. We could be compromised at any point in time. But if you're a big name, you're definitely on the list. Yeah.
We should mention, though, this isn't a shot against Jesse Michaels or
not at all,
or George Knapp or Bryce Zabel or anybody like that. It's not a shot against him. It's just easy to see when it's laid out right in front of you.
Yeah. And when you see that, it's hard to get. It's not hard to get in. It's not what I'm saying with ufology, but the thing is, you have to be tried and tested, I think, in this field. and not just given a title like, oh, do you know who this guy is? He just came out last week and all of a sudden he's the flavor of the week. It's like, no, this is not how we should proceed. It's not a popularity contest. You mentioned Jacques Vallée earlier. What I like about Jacques is very simple. He does his investigations. You don't hear about him until he writes a book. He writes a book. He does a wave of interviews and then disappears again for another 2-3 years. But whenever he comes back, you listen to him again. Why? Because he's consistent and he doesn't chase wisps. He's not going to go with false narratives. He's going to take his time and then he's going to write something intelligent and then talk about it. This is why he is who he is. Why we all revere him is because he takes his time. We don't. We're impatient. We're a generation of like, I need to do it now. Like, there's a new video. I need to watch it now. I need to make a podcast about it now. And I think that is the service that we are doing to people. And I say we, I mean people maybe in the entertainment or YouTube. It's sensationalism and it's not rationalism. Like, I think we need to bring back being rational instead of trying to chase sensationalism, which is always in the news these days. That's why it's like, take a breath, wait it out, take time to think it over. Nobody's going to call, well, Dave didn't say anything. It's been out for 10 minutes and Dave hasn't said anything about it. Like, nobody's waiting for you to do that, right? Like, just take time to look at the situation. But I think that's what's also happening now. Our attention span is so short. We don't want to listen to the long explanation. Get to the facts. Show me the graphics, right? So yeah, I think we're not helping ourselves, Dave.
No, we're not. But you know what? It is with 2.5 minutes to go. It is still a beautiful field that I get a lot of enjoyment in, and I know you do. And let's end on a positive. What do you love about it? What keeps it, with all the frustrations that came out tonight during the show, what do you love about this field?
The people in it, the witnesses, the experiencers. That's who. This is why I do it, because I'm frustrated with, obviously, in our own community, we have some frustrations with military, government, but it's the people that keep me coming back, because people that are genuine. If you can help them out, make them kind of understand maybe what's happening to them, or just give them an ear to listen, to what's happening, because nobody else will. I think that's what keeps me going, is that I know that somehow if I could affect 1 or 2 people with this at all, if I could just do that, I'm happy. I don't need to be 24 million views on YouTube. That's not going to satisfy me. It's nice, money would be nice. But the point is the subject, not me. I'm not the subject. No, when I say UAP Studies Podcast, that's not me. It's the podcast. If I die, you take it over. My kid takes it over. Or somebody else takes it over. It's the idea of it. And I think that's what we need to remove self from this. And I think a lot of people attach their image to ufology. So that's why you have people taking pictures with everybody, because you recognize the face. It's a brand. And I think that's not good. That's not how we're going to solve this issue. We're not brands. We're investigators and just normal people,
And the other thing, too, that I think we forget, we're allowed to have fun in this field. We're allowed to go to conferences. There's a lot of people out there in a press now about conferences are bad. They're just for grifters. They're just for everything. No way, man. Go to a conference. Go to a Bigfoot conference. Go to a UFO conference, go to a paranormal conference, pay the money for the people who are working hard to put this together, and you will have a blast with people who have the same thoughts, want the same conversations as you. Nobody's 100%. Degrading you. Nobody's undermining you. Just go have some fun. We're allowed some fun.
Yeah. I like that. That's a great way to end it. Yeah.
Where can they find UAP Studies? Quickly.
UAP Studies is available on YouTube and Spotify. Also want to mention with the new Human Institute project that I'm doing for studying on non-human intelligence is also commencing. So I am still active with the podcast, but doing some side gigs as well.
Jason Guillemette, everybody. We love him around here. Coming up next, we have Swamp Dweller and we have The Wizard on Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Awesome. I had a blast. You great audience as always. Great comments and kind words. I love it.
By the way, they're putting on a paranormal conference up here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, cariboucon.com.
When is this taking place?
It will be September 18th to 20th next year.
September 18th. Okay, perfect.
I'll let you know about it.
Yeah, keep me posted. That'd be something I could drive up to for sure.
All right, buddy. Take care. Okay?
Awesome. Take care, Dave. Thanks for having me on.
Take care. Bye-bye. We'll be right back, everybody. bring the wizard in. Ready, wizard? All right, there.
All right.
How you doing, wizard?
Pretty good. I was jumping out to thumbs up the video.
Very nice.
Yep.
Very nice. Tyler 420, how are you? Nice to see you. Uncle Remus, welcome. If you're new here, do us a favor, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up as we are improving and engaging our listeners. And after the show, if you could, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. If you liked it, you didn't like it, whatever it may be, just go for it.
Just make it so, right?
Absolutely.
I have a crocheted pin cushion of Patrick Stewart.
Right on. Hey, do me a favor after the show.
Yeah.
Because I got to get going quickly after the show. I need you to stick around for about 10 minutes.
All right.
All right. So thank you tonight to Mama Catherine, Kevin, and Kitty for our great super chats. Thank you very much for the love, everybody. Really appreciate it. I apologize I didn't get to any questions. Contrary Juan, how you doing? Nice to see you. And hope you're all in turkey coma right now in the U.S. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Our store is always open on our website. And we're going to get going here in about 5 seconds. Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Wengum. Wengum is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night. Right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. At the time, I was serving in the military overseas in Yokosuka, Japan from 2012 to 2014. Since my time there, I was settled and been there for 2 years and seeing a very lovely girl named May. May had told me she was pregnant with my child while I was on my deployment. I took responsibility for my actions, so we started to plan. During the second year of my service during the winter, 6 months since May gave me the news, my ship had been in a dry dock for a year, and each ship, depending on how large the ship's crew is, had a handful of duty sections. This was a group of crew members who watched the ship and took care of it while the rest of the crew was off. So my section was on duty this night. Then during our evening meal, one of my shipmates asked me if I could switch watches with him. Being that my current watch was standing in freezing cold for 5 hours, he thought giving me his barracks watch would lift my spirits up. It did. I took the proposal in a heartbeat. We both let our section leader know of the change. At 23:45, I was on my way to the barracks to start my watch from 2400 to 0600. The barracks watch was there for safety and to see that the right people were in their respective rooms. I arrived with 5 minutes to spare. I bought myself a person. I was relieving a coffee, thinking it would help them on their cold walk home. As the night progressed, I made my rounds every half an hour, and when the wee hours of the morning came around, I started to doze off. I was awoken by a resident who couldn't sleep due to their neighbors crying. "If you can't get the girl back in her room and keep her quiet, I won't tell the supervisor that you were sleeping," he muttered, as if I didn't have a choice. The barracks were 3 floors high, full of people. But at this hour, the silence had a certain eeriness to it, like you could hear your own heartbeat. My footsteps echoed as in some sort of catacomb. As I made my way upstairs, I began to hear sobbing. I shook my head in disappointment. This should be fun, I said to myself. I reached the 3rd floor and I made my way down the hallway. The sobbing sounded like it was coming from the laundry room. Maybe the poor girl didn't want to wake up her roommates, I thought to myself. As I made my way into the laundry room, the sobbing was low, like she tried to hide it. I stepped forward and asked, "Miss, are you okay?" I turned the light on and I saw a young girl sitting on the floor facing the wall, leaning on the washer machine. I asked again, "Miss, are you all right?" I put some strain on it so she may hear me, past the sobbing. I still waited for a response, but still got nothing. It was late and I was tired and getting impatient. I got closer to her. "Hey, lady, are you all right? I think you should call it a night," I yelled as I walked closer. Just as I did, the girl sprung up quickly. She looked sick. She had dark eyes, greasy hair, and she didn't look happy. It was almost as if I ruined her crying game. Before I could open my mouth, she let out an ear-shattering scream, and it just kept climbing in pitch. I got closer to shut her up, but the noise was too much and I collapsed. The last thing I saw was the sickly girl with her menacing face staring straight at me and screaming. All of a sudden, I woke up in the office where I watched the cameras. I would have written it off as a bad dream from eating galley food, but I felt different. I felt cold. I have never left the office for the rest of my watch. A week later, I got news from May. She told me that there were complications with the baby and she had a miscarriage. I couldn't help feeling that the young girl in my night terror and the miscarriage could be linked. I'm back stateside now, and the experience has left a major impression on me.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to listen to right there. Now, it's time to bring in Josh Rutledge. We call him the wizard around here for the UFO Report.
Space Out Radio presents a UFO report. The UFO wizard makes his presence known. Just ready to go.
The Wizard, always good to have you on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing, my friend?
I'm feeling extra wizardry tonight.
You need a pointy hat.
That's what you keep saying. I would wear it. I tried to dig out. Once upon a time, I had a turkey hat, like a turkey with 2 turkey legs and things. I totally would have worn that tonight for the occasion, but could not find it. I have a Yoda, Santa Claus type hat. So as we get closer to that part of the year, I'll have to wear that 1 or 2 evenings.
When you are in Vegas with us,
Yep,
for the fan party that we're going to do May 21st to 25th,
yep.
we're going to have to disappear and go find you a wizard hat.
I tell you what, they're probably a lot cheaper off of Temu or something, but yeah. I need a modern wizard hat. I need like a wizard hat that's a snapback, a trucker wizard hat. Surely somebody in the chat or listening is creative enough to come up with a trucker style wizard hat.
That would work.
That would work.
I'm looking up on Amazon right now, wizard hats.
Oh yeah, there's a lot out there. There's a lot. I mean, my wife has a witch's hat, which I don't think there's much difference between a wizard and a witch's hat, other than maybe the width of the brim. So
Well,
I can always pop
you-
that on.
the big question is, do you go with just the wizard hat or do you get the cape as well?
Oh, you gotta have the cape. I've got I don't know if you can see it back here, but I've already got a Gandalf stick. So,
Nice.
got this guy here. So so I can be like, thou shalt not pass, or whatever, it was. So
What do you got for us tonight, my friend?
all right. So something I wanted to touch on earlier in the week, we didn't get to it, was after NASA did their review of 3A Atlas and shocked the world by telling us how they felt that none of us expected them to say. That's steeped in sarcasm. After they came out and said, even in their press release for the upcoming 2-hour presentation, they called it a comet. So they'd already concluded in their minds it was a comet. But I don't want to continue to harp on that. I think we all agree that it was disappointing, but expected. But what I do want to point out is that Avi Loeb was interviewed by News Nation the next day, and he was not influenced at all by their statements. He continues to speculate that 3A Atlas is not what it seems, is potentially not a comet. In fact, his new, which is now a couple days old, but his new speculation based on what we know from what NASA has produced is that this thing may be targeting Jupiter, because it is going to pass really close to Jupiter, close enough that it's going to get caught in Jupiter's orbit. And his kind of new information is that when this happens, when it gets caught in Jupiter's orbit, it may eject some probes to go and investigate Jupiter. So I would just, I think it's two things that I'll note about Avi Loeb. I have no evidence of this. This is just intuition. I suspect that Avi Loeb has had a strange experience, one such as you and I or others who would call themselves knowers. And this is why he's so adamant about the possibility that this is more than a comet. But I don't know if he'll ever share that experience because of what it would mean for his reputation. I mean, he's already put himself on the limb just to speculate that it might be alien tech. I think if people were to know he had his own experience, they would shift the label to be, he's just one of those believers. And it would all existing credibility, whatever he has left, would go out the window. But he has the pursuit of someone who has seen something or experienced something that pushes the boundaries of accepted reality. And this is why he is just in this pursuit of understanding what this potentially could be, more so than just a comet. That's just my intuition, but it would certainly explain his behavior as well as his interest from a respected scientific professional.
I never really thought about it that way, but that is a very, very intriguing and plausible theory. It really is that he could be an experiencer, and that's why he's pushing so hard.
Mhm.
I've always looked at it from a scientific perspective, from a non-scientific way, because I'm a very non-scientific mind. And I know I just contradicted myself big time there. Okay. But in my very limited scope of science, the one thing that I have loved about Avi Loeb is he's doing science. He's not ruling anything out
Mhm.
because he doesn't know.
Right.
Whereas other scientists, especially people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, are laughing at him, basically calling him a wingnut for thinking that this could be a UFO. Whereas I've talked to scientists off the record, and they all say, look, man, our job is to explore and never give up on the possibility. Why the scientific community is turned against him on this goes against everything that they got into the career for.
Mhm.
Why not theorize that it is possible that 3I Atlas could be a UFO? There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, that is, I mean, I'll give you that. It's definitely, it brings, it brings the topic to an engaging level with the general population. Because it's, to just think of it as a comet and only in comet type descriptors is kind of boring. And you make a valid point. He is doing what science should do, which is evaluate and consider all possibilities until the evidence points to the probability of a higher explanation. But I would say that it's possible to include alien tech as a possibility without looking at the data to construct possible purposes or reasons for, if it is alien tech, for it to be in our solar system. Like he could hold out, he could hold out the theory that it's alien tech, and he could continue to remind people, hey, this could be alien tech. But what would not be expected, I think, is for him to then theorize, if it is alien tech, why is it here? And put a lot of time and effort into that why is it here type question. He could just say, I don't know why it would be here, right? And that would be an acceptable answer as long as he's still potentially thinking about it as alien tech. But the fact that he spends time looking at the data and thinking about, if it is alien tech, why could it be here, in my opinion, points to an experiencer type mentality, which is not a bad thing. It would certainly, I think, help experiencers around the world if, you have basically the, John Mack, if you will, level, almost, intellectual celebrity, if you will, who is giving the topic credibility. So, if he were to ever come out and say, yes, I'm an experiencer, I don't think that would hurt him in our eyes, from the community's perspective. But it may, with whatever remaining credibility he has with the mainstream science community or with Harvard.
You don't get into a position like he has at Harvard being a dummy.
No.
Okay. To get into the position he is at one of the greatest Ivy League schools in the world, never mind just in the United States, but in the world, you have to possess some major talent and some major understanding of what you are teaching. And Avi Loeb is definitely one of those guys. And I'm not just saying that because he's into the UFO subject. what he is doing and what he is accomplishing, and the fact that he will not give up his fight on this potentially being a UFO, I think he needs to be congratulated. And if he finds that evidence that it is a UFO, my God, that's a Nobel Prize.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see him, be a keynote speaker at like maybe the next MUFON symposium or the next SCU. I don't like what they call their get-togethers, but whatever they call their get-togethers, like one of the more we'll call it scientific-based type approach organizations, to have him be a keynote and make a presentation. I mean, he's already going on various podcasts and things. He wants to get his idea out there and heard. So maybe he will. Maybe he'll, grace us with a live keynote presentation. And if he does, I would certainly, want to be a part of that for sure.
Me too. What else do you got for us? We got 3 minutes.
All right. So, you like, well, I don't know if I can wrap this up in 3 minutes. I may have to give you a little snippet, and we may have to go into it in the next half hour. Recently was looking into the airship encounters of the 19th century. Are you familiar with these?
Somewhat, yes.
So, for those that may not be familiar, from 1896 to 1897, there were 1,500 news articles and reports across the U.S. of these airships that would, visit. Sometimes they would land, and strange occupants would get out of them and ask to borrow water or food. There are accounts of them like dropping an anchor and having the anchor get hung up on the church steeple, and guys shimmying down the line to try to free the anchor. There's just all kinds of amazing stories when it comes to the airship accounts of the 1800s. But there was one that kicked everything off, and that was in November 25th. So just a few days ago is the anniversary, in 1896, in Sacramento, in a city in Sacramento. The very first attempted abduction of a Californian was recorded in November 25th, 1896, 129 years ago this year.
Wow.
And that is actually like I said, the very first one that kicked off the rest of the sightings. And so the way that it goes is that two witnesses, the San Francisco Call was the newspaper, said a gentleman of undoubted veracity described the object as being 25 feet wide and 150 feet long, with either giant wings or propellers, seemingly made of shiny metal. Some observers saw dark outlines of 4 figures steering the aircraft. This took place in Stockton, California, I believe. We found the actual sighting. Yeah, Stockton, California. So a flurry of explanations came in. Everything from a meteor to a large bird with a Chinese lantern wrapped around its neck. That's a very precise potential explanation. A swarm of lightning beetles. Each suggestion was quickly refuted. Man balloons and blimps were still very rudimentary, and the Wright brothers and Kitty Hawk were still years away. There seemed to only be one plausible explanation.
The wizard Josh Rutledge will continue with the UFO ships on Spaced Out Radio's UFO Report.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear, man.
All right.
Good start.
Yeah.
Sweet Robbie G, how you doing, buddy? Oob to Joe's Maine. You've got aliens. FU Zeddy. I think it's going to be at the Luxor.
Oh, where
Or
we're gonna.
Yeah, or New York, New York.
The Luxor's cool. We were gonna stay there, my family and I, because we like you can get a room in the pyramid, and your windows are slanted because it's a pyramid. So
I've stayed there a couple of times. I like it.
my only complaint about Vegas, and I don't know that this will ever change, but just I've gotten so used to a lot of places no longer allowing indoor smoking, or if you go to casinos that do allow indoor smoking, they have a dedicated area that is for indoor smoking.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're a smoker, but it just
I know.
it really messes with my allergies and stuff. And my grandfather was a big smoker, and I kind of got used to it. My body got used to it, but then it's been so long since I've been around it. Like when I've spent, that 3 days we spent this past year, I was messed up for like a week and a half when I got back home. So it's my only complaint is that
that's why Merle's not allowed to pick the hotel anymore. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I and like I said, like I'm not really a big gambling person or whatever. I'd rather go to Vegas and do tangentially related stuff,
Like find yourself a wizard hat.
yeah, yeah.
Ozzy Ange, you got to come. You and hubby got to come May 21st to 25th. It shall be good. And the thing is, you can, if you sneak around quite quickly, you can actually do paranormal investigation at the Luxor.
I mean, I had stuff in my room where we stayed last time.
You know, it'd be kind of cool is to do a paranormal investigation in the bodies exhibit.
Well, the thing that I found is that there are some certain people, and I don't want to say this to make them sound like they're special, but they're like lightning rods, and they just, no matter where they go, they pull it in. So like any place could be quote unquote haunted or have activity wherever these people are. And I have found that I'm one such individual. So like no matter where I go, no matter whose house I'm staying in or what hotel I'm staying in, there's always activity.
You're like super sensitive that way. No shot intended. You were like hyper super sensitive though.
Yeah. I cry a lot.
Yeah, I mean, for a guy who can't grow a mustache, the ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? It got really bushy, and it started tickling my nose, and I had to cut it off. So I'll let it go a little bit more, and then I'll probably cut it off again. But I'm liking the chin fuzz. It helps hide my flesh beard.
One day you'll grow up and get one of these.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get that long.
You know, I mean, what's it like only having to shave like once every 3 weeks? That
It's
baby
amazing.
face you have.
It's amazing.
I wish I had that issue. Hey,
Yeah.
Fat Nuts, how you doing? All right, we're coming back in 10 seconds. Thank you to our super chatters, Katie, Kevin, and Mama. We appreciate you. Here we go. All right, we're on the runway home on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Final half hour underway. The Wizard Josh Rutledge continues with the UFO report. I am your host, Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. The Wizard, Josh Rutledge, hanging on out with us as we continue on with our show. Josh, right before the break, you were kind of getting into something that you didn't finish regarding the UFO phenomena.
Yep. So, like I said, we're at 120. What did I say here? 129 year anniversary of the first potential alien abduction attempt. They weren't successful, but so this also kicked off the airship UFO airship reports that happened from 1896 to 1897, 1,500 reports across that year. So we left off in the previous half hour with some witnesses observing this large craft, again described as being 25 feet wide and 150 feet long with giant wings or propellers. Then 2 days later, Colonel H.G. Shaw told the Stockton Daily Mail that he and a companion were traveling in a horse-drawn buggy 50 miles south of Sacramento when the horse stopped suddenly and gave a snort of terror. They encountered 3 aliens and their hovering spaceship. According to Shaw, the naked 7-foot-tall extraterrestrials had large, shiny eyes and spoke with one another by warbling. I could attempt a warble if you would be, would like to hear it.
Yeah, warble it, man. Warble it.
That's a warble, in my opinion. And it sounds a lot like a turkey gobble, so it's fitting for the day. Something like that. So one of them, at a signal from one who appeared to be the leader, attempted to lift Colonel Shaw, probably with the intention of carrying him away. Shaw said, but the aliens lacked the strength to complete the kidnapping, and they returned to their spacecraft and whooshed away. He said that those that he beheld were inhabitants of Mars who had been sent to Earth for the purpose of securing one of its inhabitants. It was, again, the first ever report of an alien abduction attempt. And it says, after Shaw's narrow escape, sightings of spaceships and aliens spread across the country. Over the next 6 months, more than 1,500 U.S. newspapers published stories of mysterious airships, often seen by thousands of witnesses in what would later be called the Great Airship Mystery of 96 to 97. The San Francisco Call and others speculated that only a genius like Thomas Edison could be responsible for such an aircraft. But Edison put out a press release and said, this supposed airship out west I prefer to devote my time to objects with have some commercial value. At best, airships would only be toys. So he saw no commercial value in flight, Thomas Edison. Wow. That missed opportunity. Missed opportunity there. Although I think he probably made all the light bulbs for all the aircraft, so we'll see. So Edison's denial burst the media bubble, and some were thought of being maybe, hoaxes or practical jokes or misidentified planets and stars. I don't know how you misidentify an airship as a planet or a star. But as of, today, there's no plausible explanation for the glowing airship over Sacramento that has ever been accepted. The only thing that's out there right now is a local inventor's primitive blimp. The other thing that I read when I was reading the account of the tale in the original, scanned in newspaper article was he talked about that they carried a satchel with a long tube that ran up to like a device that they would hold over their mouth and nose and breathe every so often. So he wondered if like there was some sort of they couldn't breathe in our, atmosphere or something like that. Something that I've speculated about before, because in one of the stories of the airships, there's an anchor gets hung up on a church. This guy tries to shimmy down to cut it loose. And the church people pull him down from the church tower. And what is described as he basically suffocates while they've got him down on the ground. The airship cuts the line that's secured to the church, and it moves on. So again, it's like they don't maybe they can't breathe in our atmosphere, or maybe it's a matter of atmospheric pressure. We're down here close to the surface of the earth. Atmospheric pressure is really great. For us, the comparison would be like, moving deeper and deeper into the ocean. The pressure there would be, significantly greater. We can't survive at those depths. Maybe they can't survive at, closer to the ground. I don't know. It's a very interesting story. And a lot of those airship stories are very interesting. So kind of the earliest documented UFO flap.
Do you think, considering the timeline of when this happened and the fact that people really didn't know what this was or anything flying in the sky outside of birds,
Right.
do you think that there was some confusion on how this was described?
I mean, it's possible, but like the article said, we did have, there were balloons and things at the time, but they were like novelties. They were rich people brought them out at parties. It wasn't I don't think 1,500, like, let's say we could discount some percentage of those 1,500 sightings across the US over the course of a year. Let's say we take away a third of them as being misidentification. That's still 1,000 sightings over the course of a year of these strange airships when, blimps and balloons and things were just not the norm at that time. And some of these sightings were like, some were in California, some were in Kansas, Missouri. They were just in random places. Some of the sightings were people on farms would go out, their cows would be having a disturbance, and they would go to investigate it, and they would find this, airship had landed in a field on their farm. And these strange occupants in their shiny suits, shiny one-piece suits, would ask for water. It's just a very I've got a couple of books back here behind me that is the Joe Jerome UFO encyclopedias. they're chock full of these different airship stories, and some of them are just they're too detailed and odd to be just misidentification.
What else do you got for us? We got 11 minutes.
Yeah, so there's actually not a lot going on in the UFO world, so I don't have a lot more for you. I do have another anniversary, if you will.
Perfect.
And that is the November 30th coming up, 1989. It's the anniversary of the Linda Napolitano abduction.
Oh, tell us that story.
Yep. So we actually, my friend Stefan and I, we do a podcast, and that was our kickoff for the season. We covered this abduction on our podcast, and so I can tell you quite a bit about it. So Linda Napolitano, also called the Manhattan or Brooklyn Bridge abduction. It was highly publicized, very controversial. There's a documentary about it on Netflix about her experience. Bud Hopkins was involved, and then some kind of fallout, if you will, between her and Bud Hopkins and Bud Hopkins' then wife. And so basically what the way the story goes is that she was abducted from her high-rise apartment in Manhattan. Supposedly people on the Brooklyn Bridge saw the light above her apartment, that this blue light that she was abducted, into. And she had these strange experiences, and a couple years later sought out Bud Hopkins, who did hypnosis. And under hypnosis, she recovered quite a bit more, including some times when her kids were later abducted as well. They would wake up with bloody noses. There was a time when she recalled where she was standing in her apartment, and her husband and kids were standing there with her, but everybody was just kind of in a trance. And these entities were walking around in her apartment and took her and abducted her. So it's a very interesting case. Like I said, there's a really good documentary about it. The controversy is that Bud's then wife didn't believe Linda Napolitano. She thought that she was kind of making it all up. This led to a lot of controversy even at the time of the case. And Linda supposedly had a UN individual, his security staff, supposedly witnessed the abduction as well. But when Bud tried to get them to contact to go on the record, they disappeared. So, were they actual witnesses? Were they silenced in some way? I don't know. So that's another kind of interesting little twist to the case.
Was there any evidence of it from her, like physical evidence?
I honestly don't remember. I'm gonna have to look up the details real quick. That I've got it stored. I don't remember the exact, if there were ever physical evidence other than like I said, people seeing it happen from supposedly the Brooklyn Bridge. Let's see here. It was apparently speculated that she was hallucinating. But she said in an article, the Vanity Fair, if I was hallucinating, then the witnesses saw my hallucination. And that sounds crazier than the whole abduction phenomena. So she supposedly just floated through the top of her building. Her husband, who was asleep next to her, was only suddenly jolted awake when she came back. She said that in her bones, she could feel that something wasn't right, and that something was in the room with her. When she looked around, she saw a group of small gray beings standing over her, staring at her with black eyes. The aliens told her to be quiet in some strange telepathic language, and she found herself paralyzed and unable to call out to her husband for help. That's when she said that a bright blue beam shone through her window and lifted her body off her bed out into the night sky and into a large oval-shaped spaceship.
No way. That's
Once inside, the creatures brought her into an examination room where they laid her on a table and inserted strange metallic devices into her nose. Napolitano woke up in her bed next to her husband as if nothing had happened. Like I said, at first she kind of just wrote it off as like a terrifying dream or something else that she couldn't, a nightmare. But she noticed a curious lump in her nose. And she visited a doctor to inspect it, and an x-ray allegedly taken of her nasal passage appeared to show that there was something lodged inside of it. Later, a throat and nose specialist allegedly examined her and found that the object was gone, but there was a buildup of cartilage that suggested something had been lodged there recently. So again, she went to Bud Hopkins, and in 96, Bud Hopkins published a book about Napolitano's story titled Witnessed. And then she was in the headlines after that book was published. So
that is just creepy. I love alien cases like that. I do. Not that I want it to happen to me. Not at all, Josh.
Yeah. Well, I've had some. I'm pretty sure I was astral traveling one evening, and my phone installed a software update, and when it rebooted, it made a noise, and it caught me off guard, and I fell back into my body with such great force that my whole body bounced on the bed and like I jolted awake.
Have you ever woken up catching yourself floating above your bed?
I have not.
I had that happen once, and I was in a dream state, and I knew it was a dream because it was dead of winter here. It was like minus 30 Celsius outside. And I remember I was talking to my friend Eric on the phone, and in my dream I'm wearing a blue t-shirt with a black t-shirt with my red shorts on, and it felt like spring. And way to the east I look, there's a cloud there, talking to Eric on the phone and in this dream, and all of a sudden I look there again, I see a UFO. I said, Eric, I got to go inside before this thing takes me. And I dropped my phone, and in typical dream fashion where you have zero coordination, I drop my phone, I pick it on up, I'm using it backwards and upside down. And he's like, can you hear me? Dave, you there? And I'm like, I dropped my phone, and he's like, what? I can't hear you. You sound a million miles away. I'm like, I got to go inside. I turn and look, and the UFO is now coming from the east towards my roof. So as I'm like, I got to go in my panic dream, because I figured if I ran inside the house, it wouldn't be able to get me. Well, as I started going towards my house, I started walking up like I was taking invisible stairs, walking up. Next thing I know, I'm looking, I'm face first, face close to my patio, and then my roof. And I was yelling on the way up there. I said, I told you I didn't want to go today. I told you I didn't want to go today. Next thing I know, I wake up. I'm about 1.5 feet from my ceiling, 2 feet, maybe 2 feet from my ceiling. And I consciously understand what's happening. And I slammed back down in the bed, and my arms flailed. I smacked my wife in the back. She wakes up. What the hell are you doing? I said, I just got dropped back into bed. It's the creepiest thing, man.
Yeah, I would say you probably got taken.
Oh, I had aliens that night, my friend.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally had some aliens.
I had when a couple months ago we talked about Terry Wrist when I was on. We were talking about my experience with the guy who contacted my friend Stefan and I, claiming to be Terry Wrist. One of the kind of bona fides that leads me to think that the person who contacted me was at least legitimate, not necessarily terrorist, but at least legitimate, was that it was Halloween night. Went to bed, had a dream that there was a woman standing at the foot of my bed in a white robe, and there were ribbons of just white and blue light flowing from her arms and just all around the room. It was an amazing dream. Woke up, told my friend Stefan about the dream. He said he also had a strange dream that night. He fell asleep on the couch and he had a dream that he was floating and he got scared. And so he fell back down onto the couch.
Oh, wow.
So then I went to check the email that we were using to correspond with this person claiming to be Terry. And there was an email waiting for me. And in the email, he said that he tried to appear to us last night, that he appeared to me at the foot of my bed in a white cloak. And then he said he appeared to Stefan and he tried to make Stefan float, but Stefan got scared, so he put him back down.
Oh, wow.
So that was like a bona fide, right? I mean, there was no way for the person who sent that email, who sent it before Stefan and I had, kind of shared our dreaming experiences, for him to know that.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that story. The Wizard, everybody, as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, and the Space Travelers Club on X. Remember, this show is copyrighted by Spaced Out Radio at Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. All right. Thank you, everyone, for a great show. And I'm pretty tired today. It's supposed to be my day off. Yesterday, I didn't get my day off. And pretty tired this week. So I'm going to, head off to bed. Josh, I just want to chat Vegas with you here for a couple seconds after.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Yep.
But thank you tonight to Mama Catherine, Kevin, and Kitty. Appreciate all of your love with the super chats. Thank you to everyone who's given us a thumbs up. Really helps with the algorithms. And don't forget, after this show, once we sign off, make sure you leave a comment below and let us know what you think about tonight's show. You guys have an amazing night. Thank you very much. Tomorrow night on the show, our guest will be Anton Gross Filthy hasn't filled me in what we're speaking about yet. I'll figure it out for tomorrow. But no matter what, going to be a good show. Promise you. That's what we do. Good night, everybody. Have a great one.
Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.